So West Ham in a few hours will be kicking off at the Amex against Brighton and Hove Albion, the voodoo team, the hoodoo team, the bogey team, never defeated, never beaten them in the Premier League this ever. Will that change? Will that change? It's Russ Stanton from West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. This is the starting predicted 11 show.
Yep.
We got it totally wrong for the Man United game. We did.
Yep.
I think Rich did probably the best. I think Rich or Holly did quite well, and Matt, but we got it totally wrong.
Yep,
as per usual.
You did. We did. You got it wrong, Russ.
Well, you said
you changed my opinion. You changed my opinion a lot.
You didn't say back. You didn't say back four. You said back three.
I didn't say back four. You're right. I didn't say back four.
You didn't. I know.
And I did not expect Emerson to play left back.
No. And I think that's going to be the mass debate we're going to have today. I think because I know.
Debate?
Yeah, we do. Many people have called us worse.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Paul Parkinson.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for watching. So yeah, that's obviously Moisey went for it. I think despite all of our thoughts and fears, he did go for it against Man United. Obviously, we lost the game, but for the best part of 70 minutes, we were a match for him, I thought.
Absolutely, a lot of people were proud of the performance, and yeah, you are to a certain extent, but most people I've spoke to are neutral fans who watched the game because obviously it was on the normal telly.
Yeah,
were pleasantly surprised, but just you just let yourself down in the final third, and I was like, well, welcome to our season. That's exactly how we've been doing it this year. A couple of chances in the first half that could have not put the game to bed, but would have definitely helped and given us a little cushion that can make a big difference. But you know what? That was what happened. We dust ourselves down. I think the team are walking away with a bit of, I said this to you yesterday when you were on your daily show, that I think they're going to walk away with their heads held high to a certain extent, because I think currently what you can see quite clearly is that there is a bit of unity in the squad, that they are connected, they are together, and they're there for the fight. So I think today's game's a huge test for West Ham's resolve, because there's so much riding on it, not just because of the league, but we've never beaten this team in the Premier League, and that's something that will be in the back of the players' minds and David Moyes' mind. Look, West Ham have not beaten Brighton in the Premier League ever.
Well, he says that in his press conference. He says it in his press conference. He talks about Brighton as being the bogey team, and he basically says, they've been a bit of a bogey team, and we can, and we have to overcome it and change it. So it's in his head, and that's the trouble. When it's in your head, that's subconscious. We never beat Brighton. So. As you said, it's a bizarre thing. As I said, I remember us winning handsomely in the championship. I think it's about 6-0. Yeah, 6-0 was the last time we beat them.
No, was it Vaz-Tay?
Yeah, I think they get a hat trick that day.
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was Brighton. I'm sure it was
something like that. Anyway, so it's not we can't beat them, but it just seems this weird hoodoo. And where it was always Glenn Murray. Then it was Neil Maupay. Now it's fucking Danny Welbeck. It's like literally. It's like we always have this one nemesis when it comes to Brighton, but you never know. As I said, Brighton are playing a different type of football now than we've played under them before.
Yeah.
And that may suit us, because it may mean that maybe defensively they might be under more attack. Maybe I don't know.
I said to you again yesterday. I've been watching a little bit of Brighton this year, and I've watched a few times where they've analysed the team, and it's really clear as mustard what they want teams to do, which is come at them. That's how they. Build upon their play. They're really clever. They've got clever players that are, and do you know what? They've dealt with players that have left. They've dealt with Trossard leaving. They've dealt with all the other players leaving, and they have a unity within their squad, and fair play to the unity. And also they've taken a lot of players that maybe we as outsiders in West Ham, if we had signed, would have been disappointed at, and made them players that have, utilised what they can do and made them work in the squad that they've got. So they invite the pressure. They want the teams to come at them. And I think this is going to be a very different game compared to the Nottingham Forest game. I think West Ham as a whole can play really well against any team, turn up against any team on their day, as long as we turn up. That's the main key element here. But something we need to put in the back of our minds is that Brighton will sit back, will play the ball from the back, and will invite pressure. That's what they want, because they'll find the gaps. That's what they want to do. That's how they play their best football. They won't play the ball over the top. Maybe every now and then they will. And if they do, that's a complete different switch of tactics to what the manager wants to do at Brighton. So West Ham may change on the basis of that, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Right, let's get into it. because I said we've only got a couple of hours until kick-off. So as anyone new to what we do is we try and put together our predicted 11. 99% of the time it's wrong. But you never know. We you know, every cloud we might get it right one time.
It's good fun.
It's good fun. It's good fun. So let's start. Obviously in goal. It's Areola, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, he's going to get his run of games now. That's what he's been wanting. He was
Yeah.
always going to get a run of games now anyway, but he's going to get more than what he first anticipated. We're going to have a bedding in period for him, so that's good. That's good to get that out of the way. You know, the situation at Man United where him and Nagerd made, you know, whoever you want to blame. It's not about passing the blame sometimes, but they'll build up a bit of a rapport with each other and the team as a whole. But, you know, we've all been calling for it predominantly. All of us have been calling for it to get Areola in the team. This is his chance. He needs to take the chance now. He needs to actually show us what he's capable of doing. I think he can. I'm excited by him. But I just want to make sure that we, you know, in comparison to the experience of Fabianski, this is now his opportunity to continue getting experience. We have to remember he has had a full season under Fulham. He's had a second full season with West Ham, albeit not a lot in the Premier League, but he's been there and thereabouts. So he's experienced-ish, but nothing in comparison to Fabianski. But yeah, he's in.
Yeah,
and it's good to see. It was good to see a Nang sitting on the bench. That was obviously the preferred third keeper. Eventually catapulted into the second goalkeeper. So, good on him. Good on him.
Yeah, good on him. Good on him. No, I agree. I think it's just he's in. But I mean, you know, his distribution, it does make a difference. And I agree when people talk about it, you know, in terms of he's more of the modern day keeper in terms of I'm not as nervous with him at bought feet than maybe Fabianski sometimes. You know, I mean, in all honesty, I think Fab's a great keeper. And has been a great keeper for many years. But sometimes, you know, you think, I mean, Areola doesn't tend to rush. He tends to take his time when the ball comes to him. And sometimes
there's attributes they both have, though, isn't there, that are make very good goalkeeper.
Definitely.
And in actual fact, if you could amalgamate the two of them, you could have a very, very good goalkeeper. Like,
definitely.
There's shots that Areola make look really easy that Fabianski wouldn't. But there are other things that Fabianski does that Areola, you know, could take on board. And that's why I think what you'll probably see is West Ham exercise that option for Fabianski come the summer, which means that it will be the transition of the goalkeeper officially. This probably is the unofficial transition. And come the summer, there will be an official transition. Because if not, then why would Areola stay for a third season and not be the first choice goalkeeper? It doesn't make sense.
There's no doubt in that, in my mind, that they'll exercise that additional option, because in the same way, you know, potentially you might not see Fabianski this side of the season, you know, with that injury. And we did the same thing with Ogbonna, didn't we? We gave him a year on top in terms of his ACL injury last season. And I think, you know, we've got the option there. I think they'll take it. And I agree. I think it will be a transitional period for him.
Yeah.
Right, okie dokie. Let's go and talk about the next. We'll keep the left back. I think that's going to be the most contentious, I think, for us. Right. Yeah. I think he's sticking with the back four.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's sticking with the back four. Right. Okay. So centre halves now. Obviously, Agaird's in. Yeah. Agaird's in. Without a shadow of a doubt. You know, he had an absolute stinker against a stinker.
To a certain extent.
20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. 20 minutes, he was awful. You know, and we've raved about him. We've talked about him, as a Rolls Royce, and he is. But sometimes those Rolls Royces misfire. And he misfired for 15, 20 minutes. And unfortunately, everything being on his shoulders defensively, if he does have a shit game, then unfortunately it crumbles. But that's not a function of him. That's a function of everyone else not performing as well, I think. So it does rest on his shoulders. It's the same as a goalkeeper. Goalkeeper makes one mistake and it goes in the back of the net because just nature of being a goalkeeper. Right. Okay. So by all accounts, by what Moyes said at his press conference, he said in terms of Zuma, he says he actually put Kurt and Cornet together as sort of Kurt's getting there and so's Cornet. Personally, I don't think he comes into the side today at all. I think Ogbonna comes in.
So I agree with you to a certain extent.
Hmm.
If there's one player he's going to play smoke and mirrors on, it's probably going to
You,
be Kurt.
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it's going to be any other position he's going to play it on. So this could be if we listen to what he says, and on paper what he says is basically it's going to be Ogbonna starting.
Hmm.
How many times this season has this happened?
Yeah, you're totally right. Yep.
And then Bowen has started or Zuma has started. So this could, this is us going into 2.5 weeks back at full training with the squad. I'm not trying to be clever with this. I'm
No,
just trying to
yeah.
build up on what Moyes has done before in the past. So yes, I agree with you. I think we put Ogbonna in there, but don't be surprised if you see Zuma.
Yes, yes. I think to be honest, obviously my preference. I think all of our preferences would be to have Zuma in there, not only for his benefit because he's a very good defender when he's fit, but I think in terms of Agard as well, because naturally, if Agbonna comes in, Agard plays on the right hand side, and it doesn't suit a left sided player. In the same way that last season we had Zuma playing the left side and Dawson was playing the right hand side, it just doesn't work. Naturally their body positions are different, and so we'll say there is. You say as you say, Oggie's in,
And the reason why I think he could be smoke and mirrors with this one is because I actually think this is a vital position that could change the
totally
dynamic of the Brighton team. So if you give your cards away too quickly, then Zuma and Agard is definitely different to Ogbonna and Agard, definitely. And I think Brighton could look at that and go, oh, okay, So I think that's why we could see maybe a little trick there, but we'll see.
We'll see. And you're totally right. I think with Zuma coming in, it not only affects Agard, but also it affects, I think, potentially who goes left back as well. Because naturally, if Agard played on the left hand side of that back two, then he will be able to support the left back a bit more. Emerson.
Emerson. Sorry, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it could make a big difference. And then obviously that means we've got a bit more emphasis going forward on the left-hand side because we've got Emerson who plays like a left winger basically most of the time.
Yeah.
So it could make a big difference for that one position. Right. Okay. So now in terms of right back, now according to reports, Soufal is okay and could feature. As now he wasn't asked that question in the broadcast section about Soufal coming back in, but he had a heel injury. Obviously missed Wednesday's game, but there is potential of him being back in the side. So whatever we put in, obviously we put in our thoughts, but it could be that he's not okay, and then Johnson plays there, or he is okay.
I think
and he plays there.
to be. I get it. What I would want would be Johnson because he's getting a little run of games now, and I don't think he's really put a foot wrong against Manchester United at all, really. And in actual fact, the games he's been stepping up into the plate, he's been really effective. The guy had to play left back and right back last week, and again didn't really necessarily put a foot wrong. I know people are saying they don't like him defensively. It's just everyone's interpretation of a player.
Yeah,
my interpretation of a player is different to a lot of West Ham fans when it comes to Ben Johnson. I think he deserves a run in the team, and he's been part of a successful West Ham team over the last 2 seasons. So what he can do is he can get forward and he can get back, and the benefit of that is he's got Agard who's got the pace to be able to help cover where necessary, and Ben Johnson's got the pace to get back if necessary as well. So Soufal, you've seen the top up there, and he's came back and he's bounced back, but there's no need to rush him back. That's the big difference here. So if you don't want to rush him back, then don't give him this game. Give him some time midweek when we play the European game.
Or even
then transition. Either way, Russ.
Yeah.
Either way, we've got a load of games and all these players are going to be called upon.
Yeah.
So you're probably right. Don't see the harm going Johnson.
No, you're probably right. And it's like with Soufal, if he's 70% fit today, you're probably right. Maybe give him another week and a half and bring him back in for the game against the weekend for next weekend in the Premier League. Because then because Larnaca, you think someone like Tila Kira may be back in for that side. Maybe
we've had several occasions though this season where players have gone. It's their position to lose.
Yeah,
and I don't think Johnson's put a foot wrong since he came into that position in the last game and a half. So in theory, on paper, if we stick by that model, then it's his position. He's not set the world alight, but he's not absolutely put a foot wrong. So
no, that's a good thing for a defender though. If he doesn't stick, if a defender doesn't if you realise the defender's not playing, that usually means he's doing his job right, or
Yes.
he hasn't scored, but he's first and foremost to defend.
Yeah.
And obviously, Moisey in his press conference spoke about the defence and saying that's obviously been the most successful bit of the team
Yeah.
this season. So,
Well, Russ, I mean, last week you did the report from the stadium, and you met a fan that came up to you and went, "Jono was fantastic today,"
yeah,
and he was. He
yeah.
was. Again, he had to cover both bases for West Ham, left and right back. So, for me, he stays in.
I read an interesting stat on Twitter yesterday to say that some of us had done some analysis of all the games this year from the calendar year, and we have not been behind at half time in any game, which is surprising. I don't know if it's right. I haven't checked, but it's like, even if it is, it's like, even if it's maybe was the Spurs. I can't remember when they scored, when Spurs scored, but I think it was in the second half. I think. But yeah, so it's clearly, that's Moyes' tactic. Keep it tight for a half at least, and then see what happens. And for apart from Wolves and Spurs, it's sort of reasonably worked this year. Okay, right, left back. So left back, basically, spoiler alert: Anton wants Cresswell in. I want Emerson in.
Well, I'm going to let you talk about this, and I'll be back in 1 second, Russ.
Go on in. Right. Okay. So nicely, because Joey is probably waking up. So for me, and now he's not here, so I can put him in. So for me, I think, it took, and I can totally understand. So Anton is going to say, and I know he's going to say already, he's going to lose to the fact that basically Cresswell came on against the Nottingham Forest, not in terms of when Soufal was injured. They moved Ben Johnson back to right back, and Cresswell came in and had a bit of a stinker, I thought, but he was preferred than over Emerson in terms of that position. That's what he's going to say in a minute. That's what he's going to say, and I agree. He was preferred. I don't know the circumstances for that substitution. It may have been Emerson, had a knock anyway. Anyway, regardless of that, Moisey decided not to play Cresswell against Man United in the cup and put Emerson in left back, which he has done against Chelsea. Did Chelsea away? He played left back as well, and against FCSB in the dead rubber. So take that away. He's played in that position against Chelsea in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge and at Old Trafford against Man United. So that's why I think he may come in. But Anton thinks Cresswell might come in.
No,
so
I actually agree. No, I actually agree with you, Russ.
Fucking hell, Jesus.
No, I do agree with you because I didn't agree with you last week, but I agree with you now because of the decisions that Moyes has made and what you've said there makes sense. So yeah, I do agree with you. I think he's obviously...
So we're going to put him in, but Cresswell will end up playing just because. after me convincing Anton, because he still owes me 20p from Scarmacker, not playing. I mean, people. Oh God,
That's how confident I was. 20p.
Yeah, exactly. And a Scotsman with their money, and all that. But yeah, so I think. I mean, my preference will be someone like for Zuma in, and then Aguirre goes to the left, and Zuma goes to the right, and then I think we've got a different side, and I think we've got a stronger side on that left hand side defensively than we do at the moment. It does worry me a little bit.
We also have to consider though that he may go back to a back five because we're playing away from home.
He may do. I don't think he will this time, but which means he probably will do now, based on our track record. Yeah, so our track record. But I think this for me now is the blueprint now for the rest of the season, and we've got enough players in the squad to do this in the Premier League and also in the conference as well. We've got. I think you could. I'll be surprised if you've got as strong a side as we will have against Brighton play against Larnaca next week. Mm-hmm. I think the likes of Lanzini comes in. I think the likes of Kira come in. I think we give minutes to Cornet. I think there's Downs gets minutes. The Man United game surprised me because I thought we would have done that, but I think maybe it's about momentum. And it was with the game so close. Now with Larnaca, if we get a good result against Brighton, we pick up points, particularly with so many teams around us playing really hard games. Bournemouth, Arsenal away.
What that means is Corney won't play, Lanzini won't play.
Yes, which means basically it's going to be a full side, and we're going to we'll probably lose. Then we'll have to try.
I'll be really honest with you, Russ. I don't know. I'll be honest, and it'll be interesting. I think our starting 11 for Larnaca because I think we could be different on it.
Yeah, I think we will be. I think it's going to be a changed side. I think during the group stages we had a very changed side, but And I think
But
this is
what
different. This is different to the Europa League stuff because we've got a bigger squad.
I know, yeah, but you go home. You travel away.
Yeah,
You want to get the results straight away, and that's
you're totally right. You're totally right. We could go
yeah,
all out, but
because
I mean,
yeah,
we said that before for
I know,
even some of the cup games. That why isn't he just gone? I remember that Kidderminster game when he had like Deck and stuff on the bench, and they go, why don't? And actually, it's not just us, other fans. I was listening to
yeah,
some Tottenham fans after they get knocked out by Sheffield United,
and aren't
and
going
they
to
were
win
like,
another cup for another
why
year.
didn't why didn't they just go balls out and really go for it and and
Yeah,
then take players off if they need to?
yeah,
And that's always the fans, but for some reason it never translates from the dugout. I don't get it.
no,
But it's not just
no.
West Ham, it was Spurs as well. Right. Okay, so as for the back now, we'll do sort of it's sort of a diamond, 2 and a
Yeah.
1 type thing.
Well, I
But
mean, there's two that go straight in there, and I don't think we need to beat about the bush with them, do we?
yeah,
Really?
but the thing is Connor Coventry's on loan now, so yeah, so we'll put them in. We'll put them in. They go in without a shadow of a doubt. I think we're really seeing what what he can do, what Paqueta can do. Particularly, we know what Rice brings to the table, but we're
Yeah,
seeing more and more what a player Paqueta is.
yeah,
What a
yeah,
player,
absolutely is.
mesmeric. So much so that we were dominating that midfield. Granted, against Scott McTominay and whatnot, but we were dominating that field at Man United so much so that he had to bring on Casemiro to sort of try and even it out. And when you bring
Yeah,
on one of the world's best midfielders to try and combat what we were doing something right, surely,
yeah,
because otherwise he wouldn't have
absolutely.
risked him. That's the two. They're in now. This third person, we'll call him a number 10 because actually because I mean Souček pretty much played as a second striker really against Man United when he played and against Forest actually when Danny Ings was there. Does Souček keep the shirt or is this
Possibly.
time
No,
to throw in Gianluca?
Suchek's going to keep his shirt
Yep.
because Souček has been playing really well. He's
Yep,
in a
true.
big revival in his West Ham career. He's not really putting a foot wrong, and you've got the option then of Skamaka off the bench. Listen, I think Skamaka can be patient. I think he will be patient now. This is a reasonably, defined formation, and while you've got and are getting the best out of Souček in that role, you're going to need fighters in this team who will challenge their defence.
Yeah.
And Brighton have got a reasonably good defence in terms of size of players. Like what's the big lad called Dunk? Is it? I don't even remember his name.
Lewis Dunk.
He's a
Yeah.
big, nasty lad, really, if that makes any
Yep.
sense. And you want Souček who goes to war and goes toe to toe as well. So that will support who we know will be up front as well. And then what that does is it gives you an option. It gives you an option should things be going all right or not going all right. Then you can change it and bring Skamaka on. I know a lot of people will be calling for Skamaka to start. And I get that, and he's going to have a fantastic career for West Ham. I really do believe that as well, and I think he will play games the rest of this season. Absolutely, I think for this game, you need that experienced Premier League player, which he is, and he's been playing well recently. And yeah, do you know what? On paper, we're looking at it going. I mean, listen to what we're saying, Russ. 4 or 5 weeks ago, we said if we see Souček on the team sheet, it was probably the one player that made you feel slightly negative about a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now we're sitting here going, no, he has to kind of play because he is in revival form and is effective currently in that position, which in turn supports the Rice and Paqueta situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I mean, what's quite nice with the way this new formation, or not new formation, but a return to this formation is for someone like Skamaka, he can, he has the option, or they have the option of him dropping into that Souček role. Now he has played, as I said, Sassuolo, him and Raspadori would flip between 9 and 10. And actually, he does it quite a lot. He drops off naturally, even when he has been playing as the lone striker. He's actually picks the ball up in midfield, and so actually, it's a I could see him playing there quite often, to be fair. Yeah, we'll see what happens with them. Now, in terms of, let's just keep the screen up.
I think there's no need to really even talk about the right hand side.
No, I think no, I don't. I think you're totally right. I think he comes back in. He's had his week off. He's had a week off. Yeah, he has had a week off. Yeah, fucking hell, get going. But I think he comes back in. I thought Fornals did an admirable job, and obviously when he did come on, we ended up looking a lot because he was obviously because we were sort of more defending on that right hand side. And I thought
Yeah.
Fornals did a great job doubling up with Ben in terms of Garnacho. I thought their left back didn't really get forward much, but when Bowen came on, it was notable that Johnson had a little bit less protection, a little less help, and maybe Garnacho got a lot more joy. And obviously, he ended up scoring that second goal. So yeah, it was an unusual one to bring him on, particularly if he'd taken a knock and you thought he was going to give him a rest. I never saw that one as a positive substitution by Moyes. I thought Fornals had done him. I felt he'd a little bit done dirty there, to be honest. I thought he played quite well.
But going back to the Nottingham Forest game, Bowen was outstanding.
Exceptional. Yeah.
So
yeah,
there was never any doubt that he's there. So
yeah, and I think so. He goes on the right. For me, Benny's on the left. I thought Benny's. I think at the moment it's Benny's shirt to lose. At the moment, I thought
you're right, and it's funny with Benny, isn't it? It's like I think to myself, do you know what? You showed us again what you are capable of doing. It's not about the goal against Manchester United. It's actually about everything else you did, about your strength. He held off players. He held off players, and he used his upper body strength. He used his size to his strength, and he was beating players. But it was also the fight and the determination he had. And there's been some games that I've been moaning, and we all have been moaning about his final third and getting brushed off the ball. But a couple of weeks ago, I'd have been like, well, listen, I think it is time to maybe rest Benny now. But in actual fact, I've changed again, and I'm like, well, no. You're the creative spark that can build a bit of a rapport, especially with Emerson and Paqueta. And there's the creative spark for us, and we definitely need that creative spark because you've got Souček, Rice, Paqueta, who essentially in that diamond formation allow the creative spark to come between one of them in all different ways. You've got Souček winning the headers, Paqueta playing the ball from a deep roll, and Declan Rice driving forwards. There's three different elements of how we attack and defend. We're using those three players. Emerson connecting fantastically well with Benrahma because they have built up a nice rapport as of late, and that's really good. And getting the balls into the box, because we know what Benrahma can do. And 9 times out of 10, his balls into the box are quite low.
Yeah.
And that suits the player we're probably going to talk about, who goes up top. Yeah. Because when you want balls into the box, who do you want on the end of that? One man and one man only. So
exactly, and I think this probably makes more sense to have these two round this way because, as you said, that little that little trio of Benrahma, Paqueta, and Emerson. That's to me, that's one of the reasons why I think we're going to stay up because of that little trio. They work so well together as a three, and Benny's always needed someone on his wavelength. I think Skamaka he's on his wavelength, sort of in terms of that skill level, but definitely Paqueta is as well. And I think there's just a fantastic little partnership or trio-ship going on there. That's a word. And then up front, we know he's going to come back in. Again, it's his shirt to lose, isn't it? Really, I think in terms of Danny. Natural goal scorer, and we said it before. If he wasn't cup tied, we'd have been in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely,
it's great for him to get a start and to get off the ground running. That's the main thing. I think he's in total this season he's got 8 goals between Aston Villa and West Ham, and it might not be what the original plan was, but this doesn't mean that we can't build around Plan B to a certain extent. And use Plan A. So I think you'll see a mixture of Ings and Skamaka utilised dramatically over the next 15 games with Plan C, Antonio coming off the bench for 10 minutes here, there and everywhere. And that's a good situation for West Ham to be in. Italian number 9 and your all-time record goal scorer in the Premier League who can cause defensive problems if he gets 10 minutes at the end. Absolutely, no-brainer.
Definitely.
So we've got options there, and that's good. And creativity, putting the balls into the box, which is what Bowen and Benrahma do.
Totally right. I mean, Ings when he was at Villa, he scored the brace against Brighton at the Amex in November this year, or last year, obviously this season. So he's got form there. So another couple of goals from him tomorrow would be lovely. Later on today will be absolutely delightful. So that's our 11. Let us know what you think. Let's go full screen. Do you have a proper look at those gents? So we've gone for back 4. Emerson.
Ross, I look at that. Sorry, quickly, and I think that's the closest we'll get this season to predicting a team right.
Yeah, bar one person potentially in Zuma. I think, as I said, he could be doing a smoke and mirrors, but we've got Areola back four of Emerson, Ogbonna, Aged, and Ben Johnson. Midfield, sort of two of Paqueta and Rice, and then Souček in 10. And then we've got Ben Rama, Ings, and Bowen. Confident with that side. I think that side's got goals. That side's got creativity as well. A bit of rough and tough if we need it from the likes of Souček, in terms of crosses and whatnot. Famously, West Ham have not conceded a goal from a corner this season, but famously, Brighton have scored 5 corners against West Ham in the last 8 times. So, so it's going to give. But in terms of scores, what do you think, mate?
Well, again, it falls back on the fact that we're the 5th or 6th team in the league to not concede as many goals as the rest. So that's not necessarily our problem. Brighton are good. We can't underestimate them. It's going to be a different game to Nottingham Forest. Again, it all depends on what West Ham turn up. If we turn up with belief, then I genuinely think that's why West Ham win games and lose games. And I know it's easy for me to say, we're just not that team that if we don't turn up with belief, we get lucky and win a game. We don't. Where other teams can be lucky and win a game with no belief, whereas West Ham, if we don't have belief, don't win a game. So I'm going to go positive. I'm going to go for a win. I'm going to go for us beating them for the first time ever. But I'm just going to go for a simple 2-1 West Ham win away from home. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go... I think we're going to win. So there we go. So just be double confident. So I'm going to go with... I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0. We very rarely... And actually, funny enough, Wednesday's game, Man United, that was our joint worst defeat all season in terms of 3-1. We haven't been... And so, touch wood, we don't lose 4-0 tonight later on. But... we don't. If we lose, the most we're going to lose, we've lost by is 3-1. So it's a hell of a thing. And to be honest, even before then, there was I think it was 18 months where we hadn't lost the game by more than one clear goal. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, so myself and Mr. Baker, that's our 11s. Let us know yours in the comments below. Give it a like. In a couple of hours' time with the watch along and everything else, and all the review show, we had Luke, the Oppo fan, this morning, so make sure listen from him. And take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, come on your hands, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Bye bye.